Hello everyone, how to name chemical compounds. We will use an easy chart today to name any inorganic chemical compounds. Begin by determining what type of compound you are trying to name. How many types we have? I have three types of compounds. Number one is the ionic. Number two, molecular. Number three is acid. Ionic consists of metal and non-metals. Molecular consists of two non-metals. Acid usually starts with a hydrogen. Okay, so let's see how to, to differentiate between ionic and molecular, for example. So from the periodic table here, you'll see that red line, I will highlight it with green, divides the periodic table into two sides, left side and right side. Okay, so the left side is metal and the right side is non-metal. And the metal consists of two types. The first two columns with predictable charges. As you see, the first line has a positive 1, so all the elements in the first line has a positive 1 charge. All the elements in the second line has a positive 2 charge. However, in the transition metals, I cannot predict the charges. Some elements has a charge of 2 and 3, and it can be maybe 1 or 2, the charges on one of the elements in the transition metal. Okay, so for ionic compound, if you see the compound consists of two elements, one from the right side, one from the left side, then it's ionic. If the compound consists of two elements from the right side only, it's a molecular. There is no exceptions in this. So let's give some examples. So for example, the NaCl. NaCl, is it molecular or ionic? Na is sodium, is from the left side. Cl is chlorine, is from the right side. So it's ionic. Another example, NO2, nitrogen and oxygen. Nitrogen, it's on the right side. Oxygen, next to it, it's on the right side as well. So both elements are on the right side of the periodic table, so it's a molecular. What about HCl? As we said earlier, if the compound starts with a hydrogen, it's an acid. H2SO4. This one is an acid as well. So let's go ahead and name each type of these compounds. So let's see how to name ionic compounds. So as we said earlier, ionic compounds can consist of a metal with a predictable charge or a metal from the transition metals, which is its charge cannot be predicted. So to do that, we need to list the name of the metal plus the charge plus the name of the non-metal and ending by IDE. So in ionic compounds, we care about the charges. So if the metal was a predictable charge, we're not going to say it. If the metal has more than one charge, then we have to specify the charges and end the name with IDE. All right. What about naming NaCl and naming Fe2O3? So for NaCl is sodium, and as we know earlier, the sodium is on this side. It's one of the metals with a predictable charges, so we don't need to specify the charge in this case. So let's name that. It's going to be sodium, and Cl is a chlorine, say chlor, and the ending is IDE, so we did the ending. So let's name Fe2O3. Fe is one of the transition metals, should be located somewhere here. So for this example, I choose Fe that has Fe positive 3 charge. So this is Fe3. So I have to specify because we have Fe plus 2, that's Fe2. So to name it, you have to specify which one you used or which one is in the compound. So in this case, we will say iron. That's the name of the first metal. Okay, here is the how I do the naming. So metal, then the charges. In this case, it's plus 3. So iron 3. Then the nonmetal, which is O, oxygen, it's ox, and then IDE, right? Oxide. That's it. It's easy. So let's name molecular compound. For example, we will name NO2 and SCO. So these two compounds are molecular compound. Why? Because both elements coming from the right side of the periodic table. So the oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. So for naming molecular compound, we care about numbering the elements in the compound. So we're giving the number of elements in the compound. So NO2, how many nitrogen? Is 1. How many oxygens? 2. So for the first element, if it's 1, we don't say number 1. We start numbering the first element from 2 and more. For the second element, if it's 1, we say mono. So in this case, let's name that. So nitrogen, it's 1. We're not going to say mono nitrogen. Oxygen is 2 of them. So it's di, that's 2, ox. And we add the IDE as well. So numbering the elements and adding the IDE. That's how you name molecular compound. For CO, for example, how many carbons is 1. Carbon is the first element. If it's number 1, we don't say it, so it's a carbon. How many oxygens is 1. It's not the first element, so in this case, we can say mono, right? Carbon mono ox, and we add the I at the end, right? So now let's name acids. Acids can be a binary acid or an oxy acid. What's binary acid? Binary acids is a hydrogen that combined with one element as a Cl or HBr or Hi. That's HBr. Okay, so let's name that. How can we do that? It's hydro followed by the name of the nonmetal at the ending IC and then acid. So to name HCl, it's going to be hydrochloric acid. So we added the hydro, the IC, acid. Let's name HBr, it's going to be hydrobromic acid. Let's name the HI, it's hydroiodic acid. It's very easy. So let's name the oxy acid. Oxy acids is a hydrogen combined with one of the polyatomic ions. If you're not familiar with the polyatomic ions, I created a video about it, so you can watch it. So for naming a hydrogen combined with polyatomic ions, it has a different way of naming. So as you guys know, the polyatomic ions usually ends with ATE or ITE. For examples, sulfate has the ending of ATE, and the sulfite has the ending of ITE. So to name the 8 polyatomic ions when combined with a hydrogen, that you change the 8 ending with IC and F. If you want to name one of the polyatomic ions that ends with ITE, so you change the ITE with OUS and then acid. So for that examples, if we have H2SO4 and H2SO3, H2SO4 coming from the polyatomic ion SO4, which is the sulfate. So ending with 8, we're going to change it to ic, so that will be sulfuric acid. And the same for the other one ending with ITE, we change it to OS acid, which is sulfurous acid. And that's how we name it. So let's recap. Ionic, we care about charges. So if it's coming from a transition metal, we have to specify the charge. So we put the metal name, and then here is it. So metal name plus the non-metal name and end with IDE. For molecular, we care about the number of elements in the compound and end with IDE as well. For acids, as we just discussed. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you have any question, contact me by email or leave a comment, and I will be more than happy to contact you back with the answer. Thank you so much.